Welcome. In this video, we're going to do a to-do app. So this is the simplest app that you can build with a database. This is a very common flow. You have a user that calls the API, that calls the database. In this case, we're going to use WebDigital for these two and Neon Postgres database in the backend for this one. So the structure that we're going to follow is we're going to set up the database at Neon, and then we're going to set up a get API, and then we're going to display tasks, and then we're going to do add task, update task, and delete task. All right. Let's look at the Neon database. So in this case, it's very easy to sign up. Just go to neon.tech and sign up. It's super easy. You can create your own database very, very quickly. You can see I already created something. And yeah, so we're going to be creating the tasks table. So you can do that from here. So let me just drop the previous table, and I can just create it like this. So create table tasks, and it's a very simple one: task ID and task text. And yeah, it's as simple as it gets that we can use for our task purposes. And let's add a few sample values so that we can actually display them. And let's select them. Yeah, they are there. All right. So we have created a database, signed up. We just need to populate we added the tasks, and now it's ready to be used. All right, so now we're going to be setting up the get API. So for that one, we actually need to enter the Neon connection secret to connect to the database. So if you go into the Neon console in the dashboard, there is the connection string here. So that's basically what we're talking about. Now, in my case, I had at symbol in the username, so which is why it's not really working properly. I had to set up a separate user called test, and so that's the one that I'm going to be using for now. So it's similar to the one that you saw over here, but it's just going to be slightly different. So in order to set that up in WebDigital, we go to the account information, API secrets, new secret, and you can call it whatever you want. In this case, I'm going to call it Neon. And you can see it's very similar. It's test user instead of the email that I entered over here. All right. So and you can see the value over here. All right. Now we're going to be creating a new website. Let's just start with a blank website to do app. All right. We create the website. Let's just create a little block over here and maybe set its size to about this big. Um, and we're gonna set the margin on the left and right auto so that it can be centered. And maybe just add a little bit of padding as well while we're at it. And let's add a little border so that it can be visible easily. All right, and we're going to be adding a heading that says tasks. All right. So now we just need to fetch we just need to do the get API. So but let's come over here in the API. Let's call this get. Let me just expand this and zoom so that you can see. All right. So sorry, let me just zoom out briefly. So this is the package that we're going to be using, the npm package, Neon Database Serverless. So it's quite easy to use. You can see you just need to do an npm install, and then it's very, very clear, very, very easy setup process. So we're going to be doing that over here. I'm going to say we're going to be importing just like that. Um, and after we do that, let's just, we don't need any parameters for this one. Let me just close this. We also need to add the npm dependency into the API. So let's just add this Neon Database Serverless library. All right. So now we actually have the library over here. Let me zoom in here. Okay. So what we need is we need to fetch the records. This needs to be an async process. We're going to do const SQL neon. We're going to be using the get secret function that is available in WebDigital to fetch the connection string. And then we're going to be getting the tasks. Await SQL, select star from tasks, and then we're going to be returning those tasks. All right. Let me just zoom out here. Yeah, so that's the core get API. So now the next step is to do the display of tasks. All right, so let's try that. So we need to fetch the tasks on mount and save it in state. So in order to do that, let's go over here, close this. Okay, so now we have the API call. We need a class to fetch it and show it. So first we need the state. So I'm going to be adding the state. All right, so we're going to do state equals task. Initially, it's going to be empty. And then we're going to add some mount events. Component did mount. And this needs to be an async function. So first, we're going to be calling the API. So we're going to get the response. Wait, this dot call API get. All right, so that's going to give us the tasks, and we're going to be updating the state tasks as the response. All right, so we now fetched the data, but how do we actually display it, right? So in order to display it, we need a repeater. So let's just add a repeater over here. Let's go to the contents. And it's under dynamic. So we're gonna add a repeater underneath that. And we need to set up the loop function over here. Let me just pull it up and zoom so that it can be seen. All right. So for the loop function, we're just gonna be getting the task from the state directly, and we're gonna be returning them. That's basically the core process for it. So let me just zoom out. And so there's another thing that we need to do over here, which is the loop record. So that's an important one. How are we going to be making that available within the repeater? So for that one, we're going to say task. All right. So that gets us half the way, but then we actually have to display it inside it. So let's just add a little block. And within that block, let's add dynamic text. So I can just go to the end, add a little dynamic text. And the function for this one, let me just pull it up again. Maximize it, zoom. All right. So normally it comes as JavaScript text, but because of what we did, we can now say task. And this is the row that's coming in. So we're going to say task text to get the actual field. All right. So now we're good to go, but there's still nothing. So we actually have to run the mount event. And when we run that, we can see the data is coming. So yeah, that's the initial setup of the read, the R of the CRUD operations. So if you look at the plan again, so we have displayed the task. There is no progress for now, but it can be added later. So you can check out the switch video for that. But for now, this is good enough. All right, let's do an add task. All right, so in order to do an add task, we have to add an add API. So it's going to be very similar to the get API. So let's just copy the code over here to get started, and we'll do add and copy and paste the code. And we need npm dependency, so let's just add that. All right. And now, sorry, I did not get the right code apparently. Okay, let me just maximize this, zoom. All right, so now we're going to be doing the, add API. So for the add API, we need a task name, or task text at the very least. We can call it just task. And let's look at this. So the API is going to be calling this SQL. So let's just paste it over here. So we're inserting into tasks whatever it's being sent, and we're returning the task ID. So this is something that is specific to Postgres. It returns the inserted task ID like a select statement after insertion. All right, let's zoom out and save this. So this is now our add API. We have the database dependency and it's ready to be used. So now we need a new task input and button. So let's just add that. We're going to come over here. We're going to add another block. Let's add it between the header and the repeater. And in here, we're going to have an input text field. And let's call this new task text. And we need a particular ID for this so that we can fetch it. So let's call this new task so that we're going to be able to use it in the JavaScript. So next to this, we need a button. Add after. Let's do a button. Let's call this add. All right. And then the block needs to be display flex and justify content space between and align items center. And we can add a little margin to the button to position it a little bit with space. All right. So now the button, when it's clicked, let's add a click event handler. So when it is clicked, we want to take that value from the new task. Let me just open up and zoom. All right. So this needs to be an async function as well. The first thing we're going to do is new task text is going to be this get file DOM element new task dot value. So this is basically whatever has been entered in the text field, and then we're going to be calling the API, the add API with the new task name. Text. And then this is going to be returning the new task ID in, like I said, like a select statement. So we're going to use optional chaining just to make sure that we can fetch it reliably. And if everything went okay and we received the new task ID, then we're going to be setting the state for tasks. And let me just move this up a little bit. All right. So for this one, we're going to do this state tasks concat, and we're going to do task ID is going to be the new task ID, and task text is going to be the new task text. All right. And yeah, so this should be, oh, we forgot something. This set state, yeah, we need brackets. All right, so it should be working now. Let me just zoom out. All right, let's give it a try. So right now, let's go to the databases over here, SQL editor. If you run, right now we have a couple of records, test1 and test2. let's try to add test3, and yeah, it worked. So let's run this. So it didn't show everything. Let's run the mount event. So that's going to bring up everything. So if we actually do test4, um, yeah, so it's working. So this is great. So now this is basically, yeah, we're adding the API, and now that's basically it for the add task. All right, let's do the update task. So that's our next challenge. So as usual, we need to create the update API. So let's do that over here. We're gonna go into the API. Let's copy the add API, and we're gonna do an update. All right. Let me just zoom in, and yeah. So this is our main thing. Let me just zoom out for a second. Yeah, so we have a separate API SQL here for updating the tasks. Let me zoom in. All right, so in this case, we're going to be running this SQL. It requires two different parameters, task ID and task text. And it doesn't really return anything, so we can just return success. It doesn't really matter what we return around here. All right, so that's the main update API call. And now we need to update the task with prompt. So we need let me just close this. We need a button over here to be able to do that. So let's just add a little a button here, a block here. Actually, we need two buttons. So let's just add a block around it so that we can be ready for it. So I'm going to add it as last child, a block. And within that, I'm going to add as first child a button. All right. And then this block, this block needs to be display flex, justify content space between, and align item center. And let's call this update. And yeah, so whenever this button is clicked, let's call this update button. All right, and whenever this is clicked, we're going to be, let's see, the update button, when it's clicked, it's going to be running this event. Let me just move it up and zoom so that we can see what is happening there. All right. So this is the update button on the client side handler. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is we need to get the task ID of whatever has been clicked on. And we can get that from the context as well. So we're going to do task ID. That's how we can get the clicked task ID. And the second thing to do is to get the new task value from the user. We're going to be using the standard JavaScript function for that, the prompt. Please enter task text. And the value that we're going to show is, again, from the context text. All right. And if there is no task text, meaning the user did not enter anything or canceled, then we're not going to be doing anything. All right. So now we can actually call the API. Let me just do it like that. It can return the error as well, but in this case, we don't really have any error conditions. So we're going to be calling the update, and we're going to be sending the task ID and task text. So that's going to be updating it on the server side. And if the response is success, then we're going to be updating the state. So tasks are going to be updated as we're going to be task.map. So we're going to be mapping the tasks And if the task ID is always going to be staying the same, task ID, that does not change. But for the task text, if the task ID is the one that we are updating, then we're going to be using the new task text. Otherwise, we're going to use the existing task text. All right. I think it's because we forgot to put async. Okay. Let's see. Let me just zoom out a little bit. Okay. So this is the current status. We are calling it. I'm trying to save it. It says unexpected token somewhere. Let me see where that's doing that. Okay, we have a map. Oh, I forgot to put bracket. And okay, now it's saved. All right. So every time that you save the script, it checks for validity and syntax and all that stuff. All right. So let's run the mount event to see if this is going to work. All right. We're going to try test 1. Let's try test 1x. Oh, it cannot resolve dependency. Let's fix that. So we need to add this library into the npm dependencies. All right. So let's try this again. Test 1x. Yeah, now it's worked. All right. So now we actually did the updating of the tasks with the prompt. All right, so the only thing remaining at this point is to delete the task. So let's just go ahead and get started with that. Let me just open up the browser. Okay, so this is where we are. We have get, add, update API calls. So now we just need to add the delete API, which is going to be very similar to the other ones that we had. Let's just add it over here, delete, and paste it. It's going to have the Neon database dependency again. All right. And yeah, so let's just open this up. So we need delete tasks from delete from tasks where task ID equals that. So let me just all right. So we have this, and I'm just going to be pasting that over here. We don't need the task name or anything. We just need task ID to delete. And we don't need to return anything. It's just going to be success. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clone this update button here. So let's just make a clone of it. And this one, we're going to call it the delete button. And I'm going to change the label here. Sorry, let me see which one is the, oh, this is update button, sorry. Okay, so we need to set this one delete. All right. And yeah, so the click handler for this one is going to be different. So let's just add a new click event handler for this one. All right, so the delete button. All right, let me just move this up so that you can see clearly. Maximize it, zoom. All right. So it's going to be very similar to the update. We're going to do task ID. We're going to fetch the task ID. Again, context.task.taskID. And then we're going to be calling the API. And this needs to be async as well. The only thing that we're going to send as parameter is the task ID. And if the response is success, then we're going to be updating the state. And just like the update tasks update, so we're going to be doing. Let me just move this down. All right, state of tasks. So now we're going to do filter instead of map. So we're going to say if the task ID not equal to task ID, then it's going to be actually that's about it. So we just need those. Yeah. So that's basically it. Yeah. So this should be it. So we're updating the tasks in the state. We're filtering the one that is not the one. We're filtering the one that's deleted. All right. So let me just zoom out. Come over here. Let's run the mount event. All right. So let's try the delete. Um, all right. Yeah, it seems to be working fine. And let's test it in the front end. Test something getting added. Update. Let's call this test 5. And delete it. Yeah, it's working perfectly fine. That's about it. Thank you very much for watching.